you're a good student. You get good grades, you work incredibly hard, you pass exams, but you still don't feel good enough.
When I tell you, my back to school anxiety was actually insane.
I always put so much pressure on myself to do well.
When you're labeled as
intelligent,
so smart,
extremely intelligent,
you are a genius,
you might fall into the trap of basing all of your self-worth on your grades, or on your college application, or your ability to get a prestigious job. And when you consider that 60% of young people are unable to cope with the pressure to succeed, it's clear that we have a very big problem. Your parents expect so much from you. Your teachers expect so much from you. You expect so much from you. You see, when your grades is all that you have, you're not popular, you're not the most outgoing, you're not the funny one, you're not the attractive one, you're not the cool one. When your grades is all you have, it's the only thing holding up your self-esteem. It's the only thing telling you that you're special and unique and cool. It means everything. You can't help but question, why does everyone call me gifted and talented when this doesn't feel like a gift at all? Hey, if you're new, I'm Christina and I make videos for people who are feeling lonely. If you're a people pleaser, overachiever, overthinker, over anythinger, then you're in the right place. Ali is awesome said, can you make a video on academic stress and its linked to feelings of self-worth? I could really use some advice on overthinking and also academic guilt when I'm not studying. I've wanted to make this video for the longest time. If you feel like you're someone that puts so much pressure on yourself to get certain grades, or you put so much pressure on yourself that no one else is putting on you, you feel like you're guilty whenever you're not studying and you constantly think about when you could next study, you constantly feel like you're behind or you need to catch up even though you're doing pretty well for yourself, then you are in the right place. And I'm hopefully going to share some tips that I've learned from medical school, the past 5 years, experience and all these things, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. First of all, need to highlight, you are not alone in this. 60% of young people feel unable to cope with the pressure to succeed. Feeling overwhelmed and suffocated and feeling like you're barely keeping your head above water does not make you the odd one out and you a strange weirdo. Like, this is 60% of young people. One of the biggest struggles that you'll have if this is your experience is grades fuel your self-esteem. When the good times are good and you're getting those A's, you're getting those 80%, you're getting those 90%, maybe if you're really smart, I never got 90%. I would always hover like 70 to 80. When things are good, your self-esteem is good. You feel good, you feel happy, maybe even momentarily. I found whenever I got a good grade, it would be like I was on top of the world. I was the it girl. I was that woman, that girl for a few minutes to maybe an hour, and then it would go back again like, oh, Christina, you now have to maintain this. But then when the bad times are bad, you literally feel like you have nothing else. Sometimes when grades are all you have, you're not popular. You're not the pretty girl, the attractive girl, the girl that all the guys want to date. You don't have many friends. Like, when grade is all you have, it just means so much. So then when you have those bad times where you don't get the grade you wanted, your world comes crumbling down. I want you to understand, you're not crazy for attaching your self-worth to grades. You're not insane for making your self-esteem and your validation dictated by your academics. Intelligence is status. Intelligence is prestige. Being smart is prestigious. Being smart is aspirational. Being smart is a big deal. Being smart is impressive. This thing that you've latched onto your self-worth, your grades, your academics, your intelligence, how smart you are, it is status. It is prestigious. It's just the same way some people attach their self-esteem to how many designer bags they have. Some people attach their self-esteem to having the latest car. Some people it's having the latest phone. Some people it's how many followers they have. You've just chosen academics. And you know you've chosen academics if your heart does sink when you haven't done as well as you expected to. Because that's how you know, like, oh, your worth was attached to that. This is why I think sometimes praise and teachers telling you how smart you are, parents telling you how smart you are, sometimes that adds to the pressure. Like, praise is pressure. In a weird way. Everyone telling you how smart you are and how impressed they are. Like, I can't believe you're going to this college now. I can't believe you got that grade. This is all little reminders, like being sewn into your mind that you have to maintain this.
When we get to a point in life where we feel like we're lost and that we don't have any worth or any place in the world, this is a great indication to us that we are putting too much importance on one area of our lives to seek validation. And there is something we speak about a lot in personal development and self-worth, and it's called self-concept. Self-concept is exactly as it sounds. It is the concept that we have of ourselves and how we see ourselves in the world. The goal with self-concept is to work on all areas of our life so that if one part of our life doesn't perform as well or isn't going as we planned, there are other areas that are going to pull us through and make us feel like we are still worth something.
This is precisely where I went wrong. Like this creator was saying, like if you ever feel lost in life and like you just don't know where you're going, you don't know who you are. I had that so many times, and looking back, I can clearly see why that was, because I had essentially, say you have like 10 buckets in life, like family, friends, work, personal life, health, gym, food, all the different categories of your life. I had put absolutely every single last drop of my attention into studying. And so when studying wasn't going well, it was like that bucket was all I had. So when that was gone, there was just nothing left. And this is precisely why you might come across, or why you might feel like one of those really intelligent, smart people that you meet and you're really surprised that they actually like lack confidence a little bit, or they lack self-esteem a little bit. Turns out that if you are one of these people that's incredibly intelligent and has everything going for you, but your self-esteem is fragile because every single last ounce of your confidence is only in one part of your life, no wonder you're going to seem unsure of yourself. Your self-esteem is riding on one tiny area, one small thing. If that's one small thing has an off day, has an off week, has an off month, has an off semester, you're going to be in pieces. And that happened to me. Depending on where you're from and what your family is like, you might also have a lot of parental pressure. There will be a huge influence of your cultural background on this one. For example, if you're from like an Asian or Black or other ethnic background, then your family and your culture will probably place a lot more emphasis on education, or even a lot more emphasis on like going to a good college, getting a good job. I mean, there's so many cultures where it's like doctor, lawyer, engineer, or failure. Like there's no other option for you. Even if your parents aren't that extreme with their views, saying like you're a doctor, lawyer, or a failure, they still might put a lot of pressure on you to achieve certain grades, because academic excellence or being really intelligent almost seems like your ticket out of mediocrity, your ticket out of poverty, your ticket out of being in a rough neighborhood. It's like your ticket to freedom in a way. As someone who has been in poverty my whole life and not given a real education until my mid-teens, I'm finding this a very difficult thing to do. I feel that my future is dependent on my achievements now. I need to achieve these goals to prove to myself that I am capable and that I am better than where I came from. I genuinely feel that if I'm not in school and I don't get an associate's degree, then I'm going to end up on the street and I'll either live a very miserable life or I'll die or something. I feel as though I'm in school because without it, I won't have my basic human needs, or I'm forced to make that my focus in school. This sounds extreme, and this sounds like, oh my God, you're being so dramatic. You're not going to be out on the streets. You're not going to die of poverty. You're not going to be without basic human needs. But honestly, this is so many people. There's literal studies showing that depending on your social class and your background financially, where you come from, that will dictate and influence your academic success. So it makes perfect sense if you're a parent and you've not been able to give your kids like the perfect setup and financially give them a better education or give them better access to education, you're going to worry so much about their future that without even trying, you end up pressuring them to do well in their exams and to do well in school, because you want the best for them as a parent. You want them to have a bright future and to go to a good college and to get a good job, but you don't realize that you wanting the best for them has led to you like putting immense pressure on your kids. This gets even more toxic when you see the lengths that some parents will go to, where I feel like their love for their kids is almost conditional on getting good grades. Like I saw this TikTok that kind of, I hope it was a joke, but it was basically saying like, why are you crying? You passed the exam. And the creator was saying, oh, well, no one's going to love me unless I get an A. And if you go through the comment, it's so sad how people are talking about, yeah, my mum won't accept anything less than an A. I cry myself to sleep because I know my parents' expectations are so high. It's almost like they don't actually care about you. They care about your grades. Like your grades matters more than almost you and your well-being. And in the book I'm reading that talks about this exact topic, like the pressure of feeling like you're never enough and fighting against academic pressure, the author talked about this specific topic of parents and the pressure they put on their kids. And she said 70% of students feel like their parents valued them more when they got good grades. And when I read that, I was like, duh, like I'm not even surprised by that. Maybe that's really sad, but I'm really not surprised. What was more interesting to read about though was her suggestions for solutions, like how to actually fix this problem. And she spoke about the concept of mattering, feeling like you matter, feeling like you're valued, feeling like you're involved, feeling like people depend on you and you can depend on other people, feeling like if you leave the room, like you'll be missed, like that feeling of like I matter to people, especially when it comes to students that have a lot of academic pressure. Feeling like you matter can have a huge impact on this. And I think it would be great to get this from an external point of view, from your parents or your sort of older figures, for them to kind of tell you that you matter and it's okay if you get a B. It's okay if you get a C, like we still love you. We have no fluctuation in our love for you, depending on your grades. We're still always here for you. However, sometimes I feel like we don't even give ourselves that mattering feeling. Like sometimes, say you're absolutely exhausted and you want to take a break, but you know you're going to feel like so lazy and so useless if you take a break from studying. So you just like, you drag yourself to your desk, you get the work done. I feel like that low-key, like doing that behavior, which I did so many times, it kind of tells yourself that you don't matter as much as studying. And the way that I now think about that, because I have a much better relationship with taking breaks, like I can take a break, abandon my work and I won't feel guilty, is because say you had your phone, you'd used it all day and your phone was now on like 1%. It's about to die. It's literally not going to be able to do anything for much longer. Is your phone now a complete waste of time? Is it completely useless because it's on 1%? Is it like so unvaluable now that you basically chuck it away because it has no value to offer anyone? No, your phone is just on 1%. It just needs to recharge. Just because you have no energy doesn't mean that you don't have value. You still matter when you're on 1% battery. Your phone still matters when it's on 1% battery. You wouldn't throw it away. When your phone's on 1%, you wouldn't make it do a whole bunch of other things, have 20 different tabs open and try and like download something on the App Store and send a bunch of pictures. Like you wouldn't make it work incredibly hard at 1%. You'd say, okay, it needs to recharge. Like, let me actually just take a break from my phone anyway. I've been scrolling on TikTok a lot today. Like, let me actually have a breather. You know your phone has value whether or not it's on 1% or maybe 100%. You just kind of take a break from it from time to time. And I think one of the best shifts that I had is when I'm on 1%, I don't see myself as useless anymore because I know that I'm not. I don't see myself as like wasting time because I know that I'm not. Charging your phone is not a waste of time. Have you ever charged your phone and been like, gosh, that was such a waste of time. Why did I charge my phone? Has anyone ever said that? Like, charging your phone is always a good use of your time. Recharging for you, in this case, is never a waste of time. It's always beneficial for you to recharge. Something else that I've worked really hard to overcome is this concept of like being the trophy child. When you get a lot of validation for being really intelligent, you get lots of praise from your teachers, lots of encouragement from your parents, peers and other students, other classmates telling you like, oh my God, how did you get 90%? Oh my God, can I copy your homework next time? Oh my God, we should work together. No one else wants to talk to you when it's about, I don't know, your passion for music and the arts. No one else wants to talk to you about the play that you're really obsessed with, that you keep listening to the soundtrack on Spotify. No one talks to you about that. No one talks to you about your game that you're obsessed with, that you've leveled up and you've got to the top of the leaderboard in your video game. No one talks to you about that. People only ever talk to you about your grades. So now you create like a false self. You create this trophy child presentation and version of yourself that you feel like, okay, this is the only version of me I can show to the world. No one else cares about anything else. Literally, no one asked me about anything else. This is the only reason why people talk to me, I guess. So this is the only thing I should show to the world. It's no longer like that perfect student vibe is just a part of our image. It's now we change ourselves to become that image.
5 ways gifted children struggle from a licensed therapist. Number 5, intelligence suppression. Gifted children often suppress their intelligence. Why? Because fitting in can feel essential for survival. They pick up on the social cues pretty quickly. Being smart or quick to understand makes them stand out, and that could lead to teasing or isolation. So they downplay their abilities, instinctively blending in order to avoid being an outsider. But whenever they have to hide parts of themselves, it creates emotional pain.
This changing yourselves to live up to an image makes you strategically hide parts of yourself, and you only ever present the impressive parts of you, the parts of you that get praise. I know sometimes it's scary to open up and really be yourself, like really show like the real goofy, weird, nerdy side of you. But according to research, and it was mentioned in the book that I'm reading as well, Relationships act as shock absorbers for stress. When you have a really strong support system of people around you, people that you know and trust, I'm talking like they know you. You could be having a bad day, and just by having one look at you, people would know Christina's having a bad day. Christina doesn't look like herself. You are much more primed to be able to handle anything. What's quite sad is nowadays you can't even, for a lot of people, because I talk to a lot of you guys in my DMs, and I talk to a lot of you guys now on Zoom. If you've signed up to my community waitlist, you probably clicked on the link to chat to me on Zoom. Like, I've spoken to a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys have families that aren't very supportive. Like, just because someone has a mum and a dad and siblings and a house full of people doesn't mean they have a house full of people that support them. And this can sometimes make it even harder when you are going through things, not even just academic stress or academic pressure. You've got boy stress, girl stress, you've got like body image stress, self-esteem stress, self-confidence stress, school stress. You've got other stresses. But what I will say, from what I've read in this book as well, it's not just your household and your family and people you live with. It's very much relationships, as in like friends, partners, extended family. Close-knit relationships of any kind do act as like a shock absorber for stress in your life. And this is so important when it comes to your academics and your studies, because she was saying in the book, families and people that prioritize materialistic and superficial signs of status. She said in the book, these sorts of people are more prone to be less happy and have more mental health problems versus, she said, people that have filled that void with like strong social connections. They don't seek superficial Ivy League applications, prestigious jobs, impressive resumes, impressive jobs. Like, these people are actually a lot happier and have less mental health struggles. And you know what? On the topic of connections and loneliness, when I was struggling so much with my academics, I'm talking in my 3rd year of med school, I'd failed my exams so badly. I hid this so much because I felt like I couldn't tell anyone around me. I thought, let me just cope with this on my own. I'll double down on my work ethic. I'll try even harder. I'm going to come back stronger. I didn't even give myself time to mourn the failure and be sad, cry about it. I didn't cry about it like straight away. It was when I opened up and talked to someone about it that I started to cry. At the time, I was like, toxic motivation, let me get back and let me grind and let me pick myself back up and I'm not going to let this defeat me. But actually, during that time of forcing myself to straight away start studying again, I was struggling a lot, not even because of the workload or the actual studying. I think just because I had no one to turn to. Wanted to share that because I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you feel like you're going through all this pressure and this difficult time on your own and like there's no one to talk to, there's no one to listen to you, I'm sure there's at least one person that you can kind of like test the waters with. Briefly mention that there's a lot on your plate or briefly mention that you've got exams coming up. You do need to let off some of the steam and some of the pressure because you think you can handle it all on your own and you think it's almost like impressive to handle it on your own, to not cry in front of anyone, to never show weakness. It is, in my experience, not a sign of strength. It does not make you stronger. It makes you weaker in a sense because you're going through all this alone. And I'm going to circle back to what I said at the start of the video, but 60% of young people struggle with the pressure to succeed. You are by no means on your own. I think you've maybe just put yourself in a little bubble where you feel like you're on your own. On that note, if anyone resonated with what I've said in this video, please let me know down in the comments. It's one of my favorite things to read your comments and to know what you guys are going through and where you are in life. It also might be helpful for other people in the comments to know that there's other people struggling with the pressures of high school, college, grad school, whatever it is. Like, let us know in the comments. Tell us how you're feeling. Tell us what you're going through because you are not alone. It's my big philosophy. It's the whole philosophy I preach on this channel, really. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy my 7 life lessons for teenagers in 2025 video. I shared a lot of my regrets and things that I wish I knew in my teens. And if I could rewind the clock and go back to 18, these were all the things I would tell myself. So definitely give that video a watch. And I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next